I started meditating about 30 years ago. I learned my first meditation techniques from my first martial arts teacher. So the single point in mind meditation technique is a very powerful concentration technique for meditation. And it involves concentrating on particular chakras. And the chakras are energy centers in our energy body. Not only do you develop concentration and the ability to hold your mind still, but once you become adept at this particular meditation technique on the chakras, you can raise the Kundalini energy. And the Kundalini energy is a very powerful energy of transformation.
All rivers flow to the ocean, they say. All men and women flow to the ocean of their death. And there's a renewal at death. There's a rebirth into a new life, a new river.
What's going on, my friends? Welcome back to day 21 of the 30 days to raise your frequency. Yes, we are just getting started here, and I hope you're having a beautiful day today. So we're 21 days into the 30 days to raise your frequency. And before we jump into the meditation, I just want to briefly touch on what the heck we're doing here. What's the purpose of all this, and why should we bother to even meditate? Well, for whatever reasons you're attracted to meditation, for whatever reasons you are in this group, or maybe you're watching me live from my friends list, whatever reason, it doesn't really matter. The point is that you came across meditation. You discovered the pursuit or the idea of self-discovery. And it's something that we may not be able to put our finger on as to why we're interested in the subject. But we're here. And the important thing to know now is that practice is an essential part of making this process work. And this is why I'm a promoter of the daily practice, the daily discipline of meditation. You know, like any, I often say, like any art, any skill, it requires routine practice. It requires practicing even when you don't want to. It requires that discipline of, you know, hey, I could be doing anything else right now. But knowing that meditation is something that's beneficial for me knowing that, meditation is one of the main practices that will help me to overcome what's holding me back from happiness, right? And so what is happiness? To me, happiness already exists. I don't think we become happy. I think we transform ourselves in order to merge with happiness. The idea that we are multidimensional, what does that really mean? I talk about this constantly, that we have a body, we have an energy body, we have a mind, we have many different levels and dimensions to our own being. And likewise, life, meaning life as the creation of the world, the energies, nature, everything in existence has, we live within the multidimensional construct. We live within a multidimensional creation because we ourselves are a product of nature. There's a lot of different theories about, where humans came from. And to be honest, I am definitely not a big believer in evolution. I think it's a bunch of hogwash. And there are so many different alternative theories that we can explore in terms of creation. And, I personally believe in intelligent design. I mean, look at the magnificent creature that we are. Did we evolve from a single-celled organism? That just doesn't compute to me. That just doesn't add up to me. The idea that we live in such a complex world with such a varying degree of species, from the tiniest microorganism to the largest animals on the planet, to the planet itself, to the ecosystem, whether we even live on a planet. All these questions should be asked. We should never take information at face value. This includes information that we're given by me. This includes information that we're given by our teachers, our parents, our families. I'm here to tell you, question everything. It's a very important skill to have. Never blindly just follow and believe what we're told, the description of the world. Because how do we know that they have it right? How do you know that I have it right? Maybe I'm just the blind leading the blind. You ever think of that? Of course you have. And it's good to be skeptical, and it's good to scrutinize, and it's good to use your intuition, your intuitive ability to see reality. And whatever that degree of reality that you can see, and I promise I'm going to stop rhyming here, I just can't help it. To whatever degree of reality that you can see, sorry, I just can't stop. It depends on your level of consciousness. So, how do we raise our level of consciousness? And I'm not going to come up with some bullshit answer for you right here. The reality is we raise our consciousness by getting out of the way, by removing the obstacles that are filtering our experience. The idea is that consciousness, perfection, happiness, bliss, ecstasy, enlightenment, God, whatever you want to call it, already eternally exists or doesn't exist, depending on what your philosophy is. Existence, non-existence, being, non-being. But the point is that our view of life, our perception, our ideas, our knowledge is so far removed from the truth. It's ridiculous. And, we pride ourselves. We pride ourselves by knowing. And this is the ego that thinks that we know what is real, what is the truth. The only way to know what is the truth is by removing the ego, by not knowing. This is what's referred to as the metaphorical ego death. Death for some people is a scary word, but it simply means change. We've become so accustomed to viewing people die, and then we don't see them again, and so we think that death is an ending. But the reality is that due to our conditioning, born into this world, now unless you're very fortunate enough to be born into a family that is highly evolved spiritually, who has overcome a lot of the conditioning themselves, then maybe you're a little farther along the way. But for many of us on this world, we've been born into a family that is a tradition-based family with a lot of ideas about how the world is. They kind of just go along with the flow. You know, there's an official story, there's an official curriculum, there's an official narrative about life, about creation, the indoctrination, the education that we all go through in school, in church, in fantasies, in movies. You know, we're all programmed quite easily. And it's not difficult to become programmed because we're born into a world as very impressionable beings. We absorb everything around us. We trust that our parents, that our families, friends, our schools, our governments are telling us the truth. We trust. And we never question. Well, some of us do question, and I think it's good to always question everything. Always keep a little grain of salt, of scrutiny in the mix, no matter what. This keeps you aware. This keeps you awake. You never want to become lulled to sleep by anyone, by any person, by any information, by any authority figure. Because the truth is that what do we know? You know? I only know a little bit, and that little bit is minuscule compared to what can be known. So this is humility. Humility is the ability, there's those darn rhymes again, Rob. Humility, as my teacher once said, humility is the ability to experience eternity as your body, mind, and spirit. So what does that really mean? To experience eternity as your body, mind, and spirit. Meaning this is nothing that we own. This is nothing that is ours. What is there even a self to possess something? Sure, I've got my phone, god damn it. I've got my headphones, I've got my stuff. It's all mine. I've got my car, my house. But who am I to have anything? If I am eternity, can I really possess a thing? So humility is the opposite of egotism. Now when I speak of egotism in spirituality, I'm not necessarily referring to like, I'm the best, oh my God, my ego is huge, I'm just the best at all things. That's a very lower form of egotism. In spirituality, when we refer to the ego, we refer to the self, the idea that we are a separate individual. This, of course, happens because we see that we have a body. And we feel that we possess the body. We feel that this is the one possession that I have, man. You can't take it away from me. But yet, the body can be easily taken away from any of us at any time. And this is what we call physical death. So in truth, we have to dig. If you really want to become happy, you have to dig deep and discover the truth of who and what we really are. Now, I'm not against having material possessions. Obviously, I've got a phone, I've got headphones, I've got my Bluetooth speaker. I'm speaking to you through a tablet. I love technology. Don't get me wrong, it helps us communicate. And remember, the root word of communicate is commune, connect. I think it's good that we have this ability to connect in a world that seems so separate. But the reason, one good reason to meditate is to overcome this sense of self, this sense of possession of things, this sense of ego. All of these things are in the way of happiness. True happiness can come when we're truly humble. Humility comes when we recognize our body as a temporary vehicle, not truly a possession of our own. When we realize our mind is just a temporary vehicle of perception. Even our soul, one day, like a drop of dew, will evaporate into the ether and become part of the whole again. Now, this may sound like a lot of words that are just kind of, you've heard before. But when it gets down to the nitty-gritty of what we're trying to do in meditation, we are trying to overcome these self tendencies, these attachments that we have to self. The self as the body, the self as the mind, the self as the emotions, the self as the memory, the identity of our names, who and what we are, our histories. All of this needs to go. Because it's gonna go. One day, it's all gonna go. And if we cling to it as a possession, if we hold on too tightly, this is what causes the unhappiness. When we hold on to things. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect at any of this, but this is one of the reasons why I meditate, is to overcome these tendencies, to overcome the tendency of egotism that we all have. One way that the ego can be described is as an energetic contraction. You know? I'm talking about the metaphysical side of the ego. I'm talking about the spiritual side of the ego. This is merely an energetic contraction that we are doing. We're holding on to our energy. We're protecting ourselves by contracting inward against what is out there, the external versus the internal. We shield ourselves, we protect ourselves, we contract away due to one thing and one thing only. You guessed it, fear. Fear. So how do we transcend that contraction? Well, what's the opposite of fear? Love. Love allows for expansion beyond the contraction. Love allows for the joining, the uniting beyond the separation. Love allows for the openness and the return back into the whole. Can we possess love? No. But surely we can become love. We can become love by getting rid of what isn't love. And anything that is based on fear, anything that is based on fear is a contraction away from external conditions. We've been doing it since day one. We've been doing it. We were taught this. We were taught this. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be aware if you're going down the wrong street in a dark alley. It might be a good idea to keep your guard up. But when we're meditating, folks, when we're sitting here, when we're about to meditate, is there any reason to fear? is fear and the subsequent contraction of our energy into a self-possessed fist. Is that necessary right now? No. So the fist can be turned into the open hand. Likewise, our energy body can be opened up. And when it becomes open, we then rejoin with all that is, the cosmos, love. And wouldn't love be the highest thing? It's not even really a thing. I mean, for all this to be, for us to be given this life, this chance to learn, this chance to grow, this chance to evolve spiritually in this life is a form of grace. Grace is a form of love. So, when we're meditating today, let's try to feel that. We need to transcend our fear. We need to overcome this limitation of this self-contraction that we're feeling due to the fear of external conditions. And this is a great way to practice your mindfulness. When we're done with the meditation and you become a little more aware and you become a little more sensitive, well, one way to practice our mindfulness to remain in a state of love is to notice every time that you encounter something that we perceive as other, that we perceive as another person, that we perceive as a circumstance. Notice your energy. Does it contract or does it expand? Does it contract out of fear? Are we subconsciously or unconsciously putting up blocks when we encounter another person? We put up our guard immediately? Do we contract the love? Notice what you feel around others. Notice what you feel around conditions. Meaning you walk into a certain place and sometimes you feel like expanded, but sometimes you feel contracted. So this is something that we should start to take notice of. Now, how can we switch that around? One good way to go about life is to think of being on the offense instead of always on the defense. Be on the offensive side. One good lesson I learned a long time ago is that attack is the best form of defense. Now, how do we attack? With love. If we're always putting out love, then that love is our defense in a way, because it's, if your default mode is to just love, no matter what. And trust me, I'm certainly no great example of this, but always got to remain humble. To be always on the defense is to be contracted. But if you want to be in a state of love, of being in communion with others, with the world, then this is something that we can start to practice as part of our mindfulness practice. To remain in a state of love no matter what the external consequences are, no matter what the external stimulus is, whether it be a person, a circumstance, is to be open and be loving. And so try that out. Notice, especially when you meet with certain people, notice, do you become contracted? Do you close off your heart? Do you shield up out of fear of maybe exposing yourself as a loving being, you know? Many times people act the way they do out of fear. Fear of judgment, right? How many times have you switched up the way you were because you were afraid you were going to be judged? But the funny thing is that we lead by example. If we can go out there and be loving to someone who was mean to us, maybe we'll start a chain reaction. Maybe we will awaken that person that is used to getting confronted back with the same energy of fear or anger or hate or whatever it might be. Instead, we love, and instead we accept. Instead, we care and we show love instead of being the jerk that we sometimes can be. Okay, so enough of the Sunday sermon. Let's get to the meditation, my friends. So, if you're new to the guided meditation that I'm doing here, this is called the 5 Steps to Stillness. There are 5 parts to this meditation. It involves a single-pointed mind concentration technique, which disciplines the mind, allows you to get a stronger degree of concentration. By holding the mind on a single point, we're overcoming the tendencies of mind to wander all over the place all the time. And so this, in effect, streamlines your attention, streamlines your awareness. Your attention and your awareness are the same thing. When I use the word attention and awareness, it's the same thing. So what we're doing is we're progressing from concentration to consciousness. And so we start by concentrating on single points like the chakras, and then we move into concentration, because what's in the way of experiencing this, we move into consciousness. What's in the way of experiencing this consciousness, which is the all-pervading essence of all things? It's our thoughts, our mind, our tendency to drift into dream-like states, daydreaming, images, memories, to constantly narrate with that inner dialogue my experience of the world. So when we get this part of ourselves out of the way, it's like that filter is removed. Not only do we have a direct experience of life, but we ourselves are life. We ourselves are discovered, uncovered. The word discover means to remove the cover. So, let's remove those covers, shall we? Let's expose ourselves. Here we go. Certainly in a way that Facebook won't shut us down for. So, beginning with the 5 steps. Step number 1, we're going to be focusing on the yantra. If you don't have a yantra printed out, you can get one at the top of the group in the announcements section. Download it, print it out, put it up on your wall. Now, if you don't have a yantra printed out and put up on your wall or in front of you, you can always just listen to the music for step 1, or just focus on the video for step 1. Step 1 is a gazing exercise, an eye-opened meditation. So then we move into steps 2, 3, and 4, which we focus on the chakras. Chakras are energy centers. We want to feel the chakras. Then we move into the last step. Step 5 of the meditation is a complete surrender of control and concentration, and we let go completely, and we let go of that contraction physically, energetically, mentally, and we open up to what is. With your back straight, I want you to take a big, deep breath. Let go of all tension. Sit up straight, be nice and still, and with your open-eyed focus, gaze at the central dot of the yantra. Keep a steady, laser-like focus. When thoughts or distractions come in and out of the mind, just ignore them and hold your attention steadfast and steady on the central dot. Here we go. Very good. We use step 1 to warm up our concentration. Remember, there's nothing else right now for this next 15 to 20 minutes that's more important than what we're doing. There's nothing more important on TV. There's nothing more important in the news. There's nothing else more important going on in your life. This is the mindset that we need to have for a successful meditation. We need to block out all distractions, all wanderings. Make this your singular focus to the exclusion of all else. Nothing else exists. Begin by closing the eyes. Take your fingertips, place them just below the belly button, about an inch below. Press gently into that area. This is the navel chakra area. Continue keeping a good posture, but relax any unnecessary tension. Breathe naturally as you wish, but don't focus on your breath. Focus solely on feeling the chakra. Feel the fingertip pressing gently into the navel area. Once you've locked onto that feeling, you can remove the finger. If you lose focus, feel free to just touch that spot again with your finger at any time during the navel chakra focus. Feel the energy at the navel center. You may feel heat or a tingling type sensation. When thoughts come in and out of the mind, simply ignore them and return promptly to feeling the spot. Try to hold your attention on feeling the navel. Ready? Go. Now move your attention up to the heart chakra in the center of the chest. Gently place the fingertip in the center of the chest and press lightly. What we're doing is we're raising the energy called Kundalini to the degree that you can focus will be the degree that your Kundalini will rise. Release that energetic contraction and tension that you might be feeling. Open your heart. Feel the energy around the heart chakra, the energy of love, joy, bliss, beauty. Feel, don't think, feel. Once you've locked onto that feeling, remove the finger and hold steady. Here we go. Now move your attention up to your third eye. Place the fingertip between the eyebrows and slightly above. Try not to let your mind wander. push gently into the forehead with the fingertip so you feel that slight impression. After removing the finger, lock on to that feeling where the finger was and hold your attention there. Be still. Keep your attention perfectly on that spot. Now let go and become completely still. Rest in the stillness.